okay, let me rephrase this. A lot of people look at film as a sort of escapism, escape from reality, and I think that's a totally wrong way to look at it. I think film and art in general should be a way to understand reality. So with Alien, you could understand stuff about.
Please welcome the multi-talented Diogo Costa to this episode of the Learn Squared podcast. Diogo is a freelance concept artist, art director, and now director who is currently showing his film, The Hunt, at film festivals across the globe. And in this episode, Diogo reveals why he dived into the world of filmmaking, as well as the classics that inspired him, and the incredible position he's found himself in, where he gets to collaborate and manage a team of top-draw creatives and what that entails. So let's jump in and hear more about the intention of The Hunt, his thoughts on how to get your film out to the world, and more. Let's go. Okay, let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Learn Squared podcast, and delighted to welcome on the very talented Diogo Costa. Welcome, Diogo.
Hello, everyone. I'm waiting.
welcome. And as we just spoke beforehand, a lot to unpack and discover about your journey. But let's get right into it and give everybody, if you wouldn't mind giving everybody a quick origin story and background as to who you are and what you have done and what you do now.
Okay, so this will be a bit of a long story.
Cool.
Let's start. Oh, a lot of people don't know this. People that have been following me for a few years. But I actually have a technical background. I always studied sciences. I have a master's degree in computer engineering, and I hated it. It was a very few miserable years of my life. I did some work as an engineer, doing R&D stuff. It really wasn't what I wanted to do. And while I was doing that in college, I always liked to draw and, create stuff. And I was always kind of doing that. But, growing up in Portugal where there wasn't any industry. Like when I got into college, YouTube was just starting out. There wasn't any opportunities for me to learn, And I'm like, I'll just go study computers and hope for the best. But at the side, I was, creating stuff. I started actually doing, I was really into anime, and then I started doing comics and manga and stuff. And that was kind of my whole process of trying to create something. But long story short, I was kind of learning. I finished college with my master's degree, was working, and I'm like, this is not for me. And at that point, I was good enough, I guess, that I started to attract some attention from clients, and I started freelancing, and it came a point that a project showed up, and I just quit the engineering side altogether, and I've been freelancing ever since, mostly I've worked on virtually everything in the entertainment industry, but mostly games. So big and small, that's what I've been doing. In the last few years, this was concept. I'm a concept artist. That's kind of my main job still. That's what pays the bills. But kind of, I always knew what concept art was, and I kind of chose it because I see, okay, this is probably a viable career as an artist. I liked it, and I saw it as a sort of a gateway in to what I really wanted to do, which was filmmaking.
Right.
So, kind of started a career as a concept artist, worked on a few projects, and then I was learning and seeing how other people work. I got to work with Ash Thorpe. I kind of see him as a mentor figure. I always followed his work, and working with him in one of his projects, I saw how he did his project. I was like, I can probably do this as well. And I essentially started to develop kind of independent film career that's been going. Well, it's still recent starting, but it's going much better than I ever anticipated. And I'm kind of doing that. So right now it's a bit of a mess because I have this collective of artists that work with me, and there's like 60 of us. Like I don't work with everyone at the same time, but yeah, it's
Wow.
a lot of people to manage. And we do, we work on my productions, we do some client work as well. And I also keep my work as a concept artist, freelancing for games and stuff. And yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. I see the industry kind of moving in towards a sort of independent direction, either in video games and film. And I'm trying to ride that wave essentially.
Interesting. When you mentioned obviously the engineering side,
Mm-hmm.
that was more like you said, like just you needed to pick a vocation to earn a living, right? And then that's where that was. But you also mentioned obviously like concept art was a passion, but was it kind of the same kind of decision making? Like, okay, I need to pick what's viable.
Yeah.
Was that the same kind of thing with concept art?
Yeah.
Were there other options, or was it specifically?
No, it was like it's weird. When I saw the Spider-Verse film, the first one, and I was already working in this film, I was like, yes, finally somebody's doing what I always wanted. Because I saw, I liked, like, my main influences come from anime, from, Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that. And I'm like, in Western Europe, there is no market for that at all.
Yeah.
Like, to do things that are animated, but there are for grown-ups as well. It wasn't like, something that was real. Like I come from a small town, nobody works in anything related to the industry. Like I'm such an outsider that wasn't a possibility. So yeah, concept art I saw as something that I could probably get it. Like I saw that it was, possible maybe, and it was actually. So yeah, it was the easiest path for me to get where I wanted to go. And then thankfully, the tools evolved and, shows like Love Than a Robot starting showing up and Alberto Miel doing this stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, there are people that are doing what I want to do. So this is kind of possible, even if it's a niche thing. Let's try it.
Yeah. How important was it for you to see examples or see possibilities? Like you said, like that's something that you wanted to see or wanted to do. I guess a better question to ask is, when you saw the Spider-Verse, were you aware that's something that you wanted to see? Or was it kind of like an abstract feeling of like there's something missing or there's something that's untapped?
Yeah.
Like, did you kind of know what it was that you wanted to explore, and if that makes sense?
No, it's like, I think video games started to explore that realm of, using 3D, but with a sort of stylized 2D look. Because I even though I work with 3D, and, I love Pixar and all of that, but I don't really like the quote-unquote traditional CG look.
Right.
I think it feels, the common criticism from, regular people that like feels fake, it feels weightless and all of that. And I always consider that. And I'm a huge fan of a video game called Dishonored. It's a known video game. And when I discovered it, I think the original game is from like 2010 or something like that. And I'm like, and a few other games did that, but they were using 3D in a very stylized way, and they were mixing the good things that 3D excels at, like you can use realistic lighting, you can play with camera, but then you have like this 2D side because, it's a problem that I'm always, as I work mostly with character design, and translating a good looking character design to 3D is a nightmare. So it's never as appealing as in its 2D form. So yeah, I saw, I wanted something that merged the two things together.
Right.
But again, I was like, who am I to even try to do this?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I saw that, that was being done, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is actually possible. It gave me, I really, believe that, seeing examples of what you want to do, or the people that have a similar background to you, doing what you want, it's really important. 'Cause I consider myself lucky because I was able to find that, it's aligned. But sometimes you can have talent, from anywhere, and they just don't see it as a possibility, or they are not as stubborn as I am to try to pursue something. But I didn't not able to. So yeah, it was really important to find those examples.
I have many theories. Well, not many theories. That's a kind of a topic I meditate on a lot and think about a lot, of like the benefit and the power of being able to see your peers do something, and meet people a generation ahead of you, and even those, but coming up as well. But imagine that wasn't the case. Imagine you're still sitting here today and those examples never existed. It's still the same kind of like stuff that you were seeing before. Do you think that would have maybe, like, was a better way to phrase this, but like would have broken you, or do you think you still would have been hunting for the kind of things that you were looking for?
That's actually very interesting because, like, if there wasn't anything available at all, like if I had no references, I'll probably be chasing exactly what I'm chasing right now.
Yeah.
Because like when you are learning and you are very, you don't know what you're doing and you're very insecure. And like in my case, I didn't have anything to hold on to. I was like trying everything, and I essentially wasted a bunch of time. And like things started working out when I was like, yeah, I'll just do my thing. So what would happen in that case was that I would just be doing my thing from the very beginning, instead of wasting like 2 years trying to do, something that I'm not good at, or, trying to be something that I'm not. So yeah, if, for younger artists starting out, my main advice is do your own thing from, learn everything, but do your own thing.
Yes. Did you ever have any internal battles with that or struggles with that? Like, because sometimes it can go both ways. It can be a case of, I'm learning a lot, I'm doing all the right things, but there's no your own voice in it, for example.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, it can be so much like, I know my voice is loud, but then it doesn't really gel with anything else because it's so distinct to you. People don't get it, kind of thing. Did you have any of those kind of battles?
Yeah. Both. I had.
Okay.
But I had both. Like, it's really different phases in my in my life and my career. Like right now I'm at a good enough stage that like I know and I accept what I can do and what I can't do. Sometimes I'm a freelancer, so sometimes there's those times that you don't have a job for a few months and you start getting scared, and you're like, maybe I should try doing this, but it never works.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah. But going back to, sorry, I ramble a lot. But
no, please, that's perfect. Right, it's all good.
I just try to, I'm comfortable with the the skills that I have and what I want to do. I always want to get better, but yeah, I'm kind of focusing on that. Like I'm okay at painting, so I paint sometimes. I think I'm good at storytelling. I think this might sound a bit pretentious, but whatever. I think I'm good at composition. I'm good at character design and all of that. So I'm essentially trying to focus everything that I do around those areas. And maybe, yeah, I'm not as good as some of my influences, but whatever. It's I'm doing me. Yeah, you either like it or you don't.
Excellent. A lot of those things that you mentioned there, I think everybody goes through it, and obviously people take their own different development routes and how they deal with it. Just what you said there, like I remember many years ago, it was a case of like, it seemed like you had to catch up with the people that inspired you.
Yeah.
And if you don't catch up, then you're never going to be good enough. But then you realize, like, I don't know if that's how relativity works, but if the light's already left before you've left, you can never catch it, kind of thing. And it's okay. Like, it becomes a beacon kind of thing. it sounds, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you've got like a nice harmony with that. Like I guess you kind of gone both ways, like you said, like in case of I got to do this, but now I want to do this, and you guys kind of like find an equilibrium. First of all, am I correct in saying that? And also, when did that happen? If so,
It was relatively recent, honestly.
right, right.
There's two stages to this. Like during the COVID era, that seems like an alternate universe by now.
Half a decade ago now, yeah.
It's like I forgot those
Yes, me too.
2 years. It's very strange. I think I'm younger than I'm actually am. But I was at the point that, things were slow and I'm like, yeah, either I just, not really give up. Like I wasn't giving up, career in the industry because I was still working. I was like, yeah, I need to stop what you said, like going after, these people that have been doing it for like 20 years. It's too weird. Unless they die now. If they die now, I'll be able to maybe reach their level in 20.
Well, there you go. Yeah, maybe. So it's still a maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a maybe really because, I started like days at 27 and I'm like seeing like 20-year-olds that are better than me. So it's not really, it's not a competition game. Like as an artist, obviously you need to fulfill things, and if you're working on a project, you need to deliver. But the best thing you can give is really yourself. So yeah, so at that point, that's when I decided, and that's when the first ideas came for the hand. I'm like, yeah, I'll stick to what I know. But I got doing that. I got into. I probably worked too much. So there's been a few burnouts and all of that. And the second stage of that realization was to, yeah, there's more to life than this. This will sound strange as well, but considering everything, like I'm still young and all of that, but I essentially all the dreams that I had for myself, I kind of already achieved them. Maybe I'm not very ambitious, but whatever. It's a short film, but I got to do a short film. I got to play it around the world. I felt like a proper director. I gave interviews and all of that, so I'm fine. It's already done. Even if it's just this one, I've worked on some with some of my heroes. I worked with some of my dream studios. So, like, once you do that, you realize, at least I realized that maybe you are pursuing something and that will be the solution for everything in your life, but it really isn't. So right now I'm trying to, have a balance, enjoy life. And I really like doing this, and I'm trying to do this in the best way that I can. And I feel a certain, like coming from Portugal, I feel a certain responsibility in a way to kind of, show the younger generation here, like kids that were like me, that it's possible to get into this and to do this, because there aren't any examples for me. And if I can show that to the younger generation, my job is done, essentially.
Why is that important for you? Because you could easily just, you've achieved the medal, so to speak. You've hit the top scores. Just continue with your life. In other industries, that happens a lot. Like, rarely do people, or at least for a price they do, but normally they don't want to be like, hey, here's the pave the way. Why is that important for you, that you need to show the younger generation, especially, like you said, from Portugal? I guess you were making your own pathway because there wasn't one there before. So yeah, why is that?
It's, it's really because of that. Like, if I had someone to look up to, like when I was younger, just one person, it would have been much easier. So yeah, it's weird. I feel like, I need to do that. I don't know what it is. Like, but if I'm in a position where I can be that, I should do that. It's it's empathy for hypothetical people that I don't know, but I know they exist. I actually teach at a local college here, concept art. And, it's interesting because I meet some younger students and, some of them you can tell that they didn't even know this was a thing. So it's, it's kind of a responsibility to kind of guide them in the right way. Oh yeah, it's, I have a superhero complex maybe. I don't know.
Maybe that's cool. No, I love it. And it's observation that I've noticed speaking to obviously just people either on the podcast or even just offline, whether it's even in that field and other ones. And it's more so from places where the infrastructure or the structure isn't either as fleshed out or not even there at all. Like that mentality that you've shown, obviously not for everybody, but it seems to, like if you plot it out in a graph, it seems to be more prevalent in those kind of spaces than anywhere else, which I think is excellent and amazing, because one thing's for certain in this industry and in this kind of like vocation that we do, you could be from anywhere and you can deliver. If you've got a voice, if you've got the desire for it, like it's not linked to anything like, geographical location or circumstances of birth or whatever. Like if you've got it, you can deliver it, then you can contribute. But I want to get into the hunt and I want to get into like, what it's like leading a massive team. But just going back a little bit to your career, I just want a bit of a timeline as to when did you get into concept art? Like what year was it, or whereabouts were you in your life when you did that?
I started doing, it was 2017.
Okay.
So I was like 26, 27 years old. And it was a little bit of everything. I started mostly with indie games. Like one of my first clients was actually Lucasfilm, which kind of blew my mind. Okay, this might be a real thing. But yeah, in the last few years, I started working in AAA projects, mostly with Volta, and I have this unlucky thing that I'm not able to talk about the projects that I've worked on.
That's fair enough.
But I think at the end of this year, I'll be able to show one of them. I hope.
Cool. How does that make you feel, by the way? I've been cursed with that as well. For different reasons. Some that just weren't good enough from my end. Some that just got cancelled or wherever else. How does it make you feel when you can't show the energy and the fruits of your labor?
It's tough. Because like in my case, like I've been working for like 7 years, so I kind of know my way around things, but not be able to show almost anything. What I did, it's a bit, weird. And sometimes you do stuff that you're proud of, and that if you have had released it at a certain time, it will probably help you. But then that time is gone, and I'm like, okay, just not really. I think it's always a learning experience, and I look at it that way. Like, in the worst case scenario, even if I can't show this and it's locked in the vault forever, I learned something from this, and it helps you, build some sort of armor against adversity. And I got to say, I know as a director that really, you cannot really hurt my feelings, honestly. Like, you give me a bad review, I'm like, my job is being rejected 90% of the time, so Tuesday for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
How do you remedy that though? Like, what is your way to remedy, or even like counteract, if anything, when obviously as an artist trying to build a career, trying to get new clients, you can't show what you've already done?
Yeah.
How did you maneuver around that?
It's essentially when you start seeing me posting personal work, it's usually because I'm looking for a job.
Right.
Okay. I always do personal work and things come up. And you have some recurrent clients and all of that. But, yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, fair enough. speaking of jobs, what was your strategy to getting jobs? Because, and I kind of have another question with that, but I'll ask that in a bit. Do you have a particular strategy?
It's this one actually. Like
Right.
it's weird because I like 90% of the jobs I get is clients who reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
So my strategy is I put stuff online and wait.
Okay.
And it works out usually. So I'm not sure it's a very good strategy. That's what I've been using.
Have you tried like other things? Like, do you
Yeah,
put too
I
much thought
have,
into it
and
as
they
well?
don't work. Like sometimes I reach out to people. I don't know. It's what works for me is the client coming for me. I don't know why, but that's my thing. It's like I'm being very vague. I know, but it's
No, no,
really
no, no. It's good.
just.
No, 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 no. Is it something that has worked? That's the only thing that's ever worked for me.
Mm.
Is a case of I've tried the other stuff as well, and it's good to know that I'm not alone in that kind of
Yeah,
situation as well.
okay, perfect.
Because it's a case of like, am I missing a trick or?
Yeah.
And I've tried the other stuff, and it's like for what it is, it just doesn't seem to work. The only
Yeah.
one is that one, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned.
I can head to that.
Yeah.
Like I think,
Please, yeah.
like what I do is kind of specific, so it only kind of applies to certain projects. So even I've conversations and interviews with studios, and I'm like, I really like your stuff, blah 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 blah. But this project is not right. But maybe you have another project, and so on. So yeah, I would say when clients look for me, they're really looking for the kind of stuff that I do. So that's why it works. As I show, okay, I do this, and okay, this guy does what we want, and they reach out. But yeah, I'm not very. Maybe I have a style that's too specific or a very specific taste that kind of it's a niche thing. I don't know.
You mentioned when you got into, obviously you're doing the computer engineering and that whole world. Then you got into concept art. When you got into it, was it a shock to the system? Were you like a duck to water? How rough or smooth was that? I guess transition.
It wasn't that rocky. Like I was drawing and all of that, but because I'm self-taught, I really lacked fundamentals. Like it was a huge shock when my sort of path and it started at the same time more or less that ArtStation came out. And like when I discovered ArtStation, I'm like, oh damn, this is the level I'm supposed to read. And through that, I got to kind of find tutorials and all of that, and I was able to kind of in a very short time kind of understand what I was lacking, and to quickly level up to reach a level that I could, work professionally. I got to say that Learn Squared was this is an endorsement, but it was a huge help, definitely, in that journey. Like I still, I usually say that 90% of what I know I learned from a Java like his approach and all of that. I did this course. I'm like, yeah, this is what I was missing. This bare bones, very simplified approach to everything. And yeah, like I did a few of those courses, and like in a few months, like my work turned into something else entirely. So yeah, it wasn't that hard because I think when I was starting, I was already, at a good enough stage that I could, get that missing piece, essentially.
Yeah. You obviously mentioned fundamentals there. How did it feel when it was just that you realized, oh, that's all the things that were kind of like, I guess, not to be too dramatic, but like things were crumbling, I guess, and it was the fundamentals that were lacking in that.
Yeah.
Was it nice to see it was that, or did it kind of frustrate you or bother you that?
No.
Like, oh
it
my
was
gosh,
super nice to see. Like,
Yeah.
it was like an enlightening moment. I was like, oh, is that simple? I
Yes.
found out later that it's not that simple. And, teaching, I realized that that's actually the difficult part.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for me, it was like the last piece of the puzzle.
Mm.
And when I discovered it, like everything fell into place.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the memory, of kind of seeing those moments of like, oh, kind of an eureka moment. And from there, everything was smooth sailing on it. I'm kind of struggled a bit still, but it was different. It was like a struggle to get, really good, not to be able to do something. I was then able to do something.
Yeah, it kind of like demystifies what was going on, right? So you kind of like, if you get like, I guess, trapped in the corner again, you kind of know how to get out of it. Have you ever gone? Like, do you have since then? Have you ever kind of like gotten to that place again where you're struggling with something and there's like another fundamental on a new kind of like skill set that was lacking, or have you kind of had a good grasp and it's served you well since?
I think I got a good grasp of it, and the fact that I have to teach to people who know nothing about it kind of forces me to really understand it. Because when you are teaching, you realize sometimes, oh, I don't really know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't really understand this that well. And it kind of, makes me, because I really have to explain it and to show it in the simplest way that I can. And when you are able to do that, you kind of usually have a good grasp of it. If you can articulate it, because some people really have a good grasp at it, but they they cannot articulate it. And I think I can do that reasonably well. And and now I'm like at a point, which is kind of weird, but that I don't think about. That's kind of all second nature to me, and I'm looking for ways of breaking that, like breaking the fundamentals, but still making things work. Like let's say it's the next step in the artistic journey, right?
Yes.
And then I'm looking at films, and I'm like, you, like the director or whatever, isn't supposed to be doing this. This isn't supposed to work, but works for whatever reason. Let me see why this works.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to do now.
Excellent. Now, this is something that always fascinates me as well. I guess and I guess it's more of an origin story kind of thing. People's influences. And I guess one of the reasons why is because it gives an insight into why that person is what they are as a creator, even as a person. And I guess sometimes influences are a spectrum. You have like, I guess, normal life influences or inspirations, and then creative ones, and they're kind of different. For you, obviously seeing yourself now, were your, I guess, life inspirations and creative inspirations all jumbled up and like fused together, or were they distinct and separate?
They are fused together. Like every one of my inspirations is either an artist or a filmmaker. So
Okay.
I don't take inspiration from anybody else. I'm sorry. But there's a few exceptions, but they came later in life. But it's weird. I saw the first film that I ever saw in the cinema was Jurassic Park, the first one.
Same. Yes.
Okay.
I knew you, for some reason I knew you were going to say that. I don't know why.
And I was way too young to watch. Like I know that I watched it, but I was like 2 or 3 years old, so I don't really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's young.
Like
that's
my
sick.
parents didn't care at all. So.
Sorry to interrupt. What memories do you have of it then? If you obviously you've
I
seen it
have
since,
like
but like back then, what did you remember?
T-Rex, I have I know the film by heart, obviously. I've seen it a bunch of times. But I have a specific memories of the raptors in the kitchen, the cup shaking and all of that. Like that thing broke me. Broke me in the sense there's that thing with kids that they usually don't have the capacity to understand when they're really young what they're seeing, like if it's real or not. But for some reason, I knew it wasn't real. I know those weren't, it was a film, it was a picture, it was a fantasy. But I was fascinated by, this isn't real, but here it's real, and somebody made this. So I kind of realized that, and since I can remember, I'm like, I want to do this. And like when I was playing with toys as a kid and drawing, like the thing was always, it was always a film in my head. Like I was a huge fan of monsters. I saw all the Japanese Godzilla films and all of that. And I was like drawing the monsters and creatures, whatever, and they were always part of, a bigger production in my head. And
yes.
like, thankfully, I left the toys all over the living room, and my dad would, he didn't enjoy it, but my mom was like, let the kid be, maybe he'll be the next Spielberg or whatever. And it was the whole set, and nobody could touch it.
Right.
So I grew up, and Jurassic Park will be really the thing that started it. And then I later I would watch it I don't know, once a week. I don't remember really. It's that thing that's really part of my life. That's always been there.
Wow.
Like this will all be filmmakers.
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw Alien, I was like 7. Again, too early.
I think I was the same age. If I could.
Yeah, we are alike. And it's one of my favorite films to this day. I think it will always be. Every time that I watch it, it gets better. It's
So Alien or Aliens?
Alien.
Okay.
The first one. And it was again that, because it's a different thing, right? And it was again that moment. I never saw that. And I'm not even sure if I watched the whole film. I think I stopped when the chest are out of the chest, because I was probably shocked. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've rewatched it again throughout the years as I was growing up, and I'm like, Jurassic Park is cool, but I'm more drawn to this stuff. To this fucked up stuff. Can we curse in this podcast?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We encourage it.
Okay. And because I saw more on that film, underneath the creatures and the spaceship and whatever. And then at the same time, anime was really big in Portugal back in the 90s already. Okay. And it was always Dragon Ball Z for people of my generation, and I was drawing Goku and all of that. So the cool thing is, as anime was quite big, it went beyond the Dragon Ball show. So I got to see a lot of, back then it was kind of obscure shows. Now they are known. I remember watching it more or less at the same age that I watched Alien, the Evangelion show.
Okay.
And it's still one of my main influences as well to this day. I think the thing is a masterpiece of everything, honestly. And, some other stuff. So it's really, I would say, it's a mix of, I like stuff that feels very cinematic, like big productions, big production values, people that have a big vision, but I like the rough, raw nature that you can only get from Japanese anime, essentially. And even in the in the West, even films that are from grown-ups, they're always nice. And for example, I'm a huge fan of Korean cinema, and it's not that it's dark, but life is not black and white. It's not that simple. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it, and as an artist, I feel it's a bit of let me rephrase this. a lot of people look at film as a sort of escape from reality, and I think that's the totally wrong way to look at it.
Okay.
I think film and art in general should be a way to understand reality. So with Alien, you could understand stuff about, you know, sexual abuse, about men's fear of reproduction or pregnancy or whatever. There's a ton of stuff there.
Mhm.
And Jurassic Park, there's a ton of stuff there as well. And it really works when it's done through this way, like from metaphor, through, creatures and stuff. And you look
Yes.
at the ancient, history, you look at mythology, and that's what I did. That's how storytelling works in general. So it's a bit of a con to, let's make people feel good for 2 hours. And yeah, they make me feel good for 2 hours, but that doesn't change anything on their lives. So if you are wasting like 5 years of your life doing a film, try to do something that
Yes.
has some weight to it. Speaking as an artist, speaking from the commercial side of things, I won't get into that.
No, that's cool. Well, firstly, I'm assuming you get a lot of enjoyment digging into like Fincher's films. Then, if that's how you look at films, for example, and what they do. We're definitely aligned in that sense, especially like, did you take on like what films maybe I'm on your side where you say like that's the purpose of storytelling and filmmaking, but of course it could also be just a school of thought and a way to approach it, for example, because there is, like you said, that more commercial side, more just how do we turn a profit, for example, where, based on what you've seen and what you've studied, of course, and just your own musings on it, where do you think that's come from, if anywhere, and why do you think that is the case with films? Like, why do you think those are the vessels to give you, I guess, like an insight into life or themes and whatnot?
It's really like us as artists, that's why I always, I said at the beginning, like, do yourself. Like, we have this ability to express ourselves in a way that people usually cannot. Most people that are not artists, they are kind of limited to the way they can express themselves. And sometimes you can, like, we learn from each other, right? And sometimes you can learn from other people, and like, with visual arts, because it's very primitive. Like, you can, like, if you're reading a book, first you need to know how to read. So you need to be at least 6 years old to do that. Then you need to understand the language that the book is written in. So it's very limited. Like, you can listen to music from a very early age, but music, it can give you a feeling, but you cannot really, I don't think, at least, you cannot solve world problems with with music. But like, we are visual creatures essentially, and with visual arts and film in particular, because there's kind of a narrative, there's a moving thing. It's a very easy way to get people to learn or feel or understand something. So yeah, that's really it, and that's why the kind of the fundamentals matter, because if you really understand that, you understand that if you are composing the image in a certain way, if you are editing the film in a certain way, you are putting stuff into people's heads, and it's something that I think like should be kind of mandatory for everyone to learn. As like, not to get into politics of everything, but like, if you look at the politic environment, and if you look at kind of the tricks that they are being used now to kind of manipulate people with images, like, I think for us it's obvious. We can see, okay, it's doing this, and this, and this, and that. Yeah. But for most people it isn't, because they weren't aware of it. And it's both things. It's a really powerful medium. And, to quote the Spider-Man thing, with great power comes with responsibility, right? So, yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question, honestly, but...
No, it's okay. I'll have a follow-up for you anyway. when did you see films in that way? Is that something that you studied, and like, was it like a kind of fundamental kind of scenario again? Thinking like, why do these films exist in the way they do? Oh, it's because of this. Or is that something that you feel like you kind of always knew, or even it could something that maybe you only always projected on things? If that makes sense.
I never thought about that actually. I kind of like I remember when I was in my early teens, when I really started to get into horror films, because that's what essentially what I do. Animated horror films, a very small niche. Like I was looking for stuff that kind of had a different perspective on things. And then I grew up and I'm like, yeah, most of this sucks. It's just people being killed for the sake of it. And like in the early, when I got, it was more at the same time I got into college, like when I was 17 or 18, and I started to really get into, the 70 films, the, Scorsese, Coppola stuff of that era, and, discovering all the Asian cinema and all of that. And I was saying, yeah, these people were saying things with their work. It was just not, fireworks and all of that. So, yeah, that particularly, I would say with Asian cinema, I was like, yeah, this is really powerful, and it's a sort of kinship thing, really. Like, I never met those people, and probably never will because they are these big shot directors. But I felt like we kind of understood each other through their work. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of how I look at things as well. Yeah.
That makes complete sense to me. And I'm sure like professionals in that field or whatever have like, there's probably a word for that or exact kind of like specific discipline for that. But I think when something resonates with you that someone's created, for example, like it's because there's like a lot of wavelengths, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, that are kind of like in sync with what you see and what you want, for example. Equally, like I guess like a taste thing perhaps, where some things are just not to your taste, so I'm never going to like that, or some people absolutely adore it. And then some things are just completely, okay, I like this kind of stuff. And some things are just so well done or so well like targeted to your soul that you can't put it in words. It's just like, yeah, that was kind of like made for me. We've spoken about some classics. What about some modern ones? What are the most recent things that either you've seen or experienced that gave you that feeling?
Like, the director Robert Eggers, he did The Witch, The Lighthouse, Nosferatu, which is the Northman. Like,
Yes.
Every time I see one of his films, I get mad in the sense that I'm like, I could have done this. I'm not as he is, obviously.
Yeah.
That's real. But, when I saw The Lighthouse, I'm like, this dude kind of stole my idea. Like, it's, I had this, I still have it online. I was sort of, and we can use this as a sort of segue to the hunt. But before I did the hunt, I essentially did this project to kind of, really understand how I could build a pipeline that could work for independent animation. And I essentially did everything in 3D, trying to see, what I could do, what I couldn't do, what corners could I cut. And like I was doing that and I said, oh, 1,000. I'm like, this is the same thing. It's like, it's the same story. Like, and yeah, it's like I love his work. There's a ton of other editors that I like, but him in particularly, like it's. And I was watching Nosferatu and some of the images. I think I have sketches that look like that. I don't know. It's
sick.
I hope to meet him someday.
Yeah. Excellent choice. Name drop. I equally celebrate him. This is going to be a disclaimer for the rest of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. I am not particularly drawn to the horror genre, mainly because, maybe because like the kind of films we watched as kids kind of messed me up back then. I don't like being scared. I don't like pursuing threat, if that makes sense. I guess that's why I like psychology behind it. So, your classic kind of like horror films of the horror genre, I don't seek that out. When I saw The Witch, those are the kind of like, I guess, horror genre that I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
Because I hate the threat experience that I'm experiencing, because it's way more psychological than it is like, oh, this thing's getting you. Although it has those kind of moments, but the way it's crafted, how it looks, the authenticity behind it, it's actually, there's more beauty in his films than there are actually like threat and stuff. And then there's something you said about The Witch. So after I watched The Witch, I was absolutely fascinated by the whole process, particularly, and maybe it was a marketing thing or the way they were kind of like, marketing the film, but I believe the whole script was lifted off actual testaments and written words at that time, maybe with a little bit of, creative adjusting, but it's very, very pure. And I also believe all the props and the buildings were built the way they would have built them back then. Very extra, but I guess creative, that's kind of stuff that, okay, yes, this person trying to like almost, time travel back to that kind of space. But the one thing that really stood out was that he had nightmares as kids of a witch. And after the witch in that film fucked me up even more so as well, especially like the first few scenes. No spoilers, I highly recommend people to watch it. But he said after he made that film, no longer had any nightmares. So I guess that horror is a psychological thing. And then obviously, Lighthouse and Nosferatu. I want to stop because I've got a few more things I can ramble on about as well. But is that kind of the horror, or I guess, why horror for you? Why did you gravitate towards that genre?
Yeah, we'll probably get a little bit deep here. But this is something that I'm actually fully understanding now. This is a common theme with my therapist, actually, trying to understand. And I don't mind exposing myself, so it's fine. I had some, issues with mental health and all of that when in my early 20s. It's kind of, I still have them, but it's kind of stabilized now. And I actually realized, and it was actually watching Nosferatu. So that dude really played an important role in my life.
Interesting.
I'm watching, the film it's beautiful, but it's super dark at the same time, right? Because it's very primal, dark things within human. And I'm watching it, and I've been thinking about it a lot. Why am I taking so much pleasure for something so horrible? I was thinking about that, and it came to, I realized that it was because it was familiar in a way. So my thing, there are other reasons, but I'll get into that. But essentially because I had this, sort of mindset that everything was going to go wrong and everything was bad and all of that, I sort of found comfort in watching films where that happened. You shouldn't have gone to the dark corridor because the killer was there, and then the thing happened.
Yeah.
That's right. It kind of validates your fears and your anxieties and that. And this is something that I realized, and it kind of it gave me a sort of I questioned myself. Okay, then should I continue to be doing this? Why am I continuing to be doing this? And it's like an understanding of myself. I think it's not just that. At the same time, there's a technical reason. I think there is no coincidence why a lot of directors start with horror films, because it's really the genre where you can play with form. You don't even have to have dialogue. You can have a crappy script. You just need proper lighting, good editing, good sound design, and play things, and people will get scared, but for the bare minimum, you can do that. So there's a technical side of that it really appeals to me, because I'm a sort of purist in the form. And also, because it's very primal, again, it deals with our fears and our anxieties and all of that. It could also be training for life, you can, I've never been chased by, by Michael Myers, but I know how that feels. So if that
Yeah.
happens, it's not a surprise, at least.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'll ever figure out everything why, but I think it's a mix of all of these reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And like most people don't really look deep into themselves. And I think you can do that with horror. Like the reason I believe a lot of people run away from horror is it's not of the fear really. It's something deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll understand some things about themselves, and that's the
Interesting.
scary part. But it's
Interesting.
just my theories. I don't know.
Sick. No, I think that's valid. And things that you mentioned there, like, yeah, I believe it's also like a primal thing. A lot of the stuff that we really enjoy tends to not have a language why we enjoy it. We
Yeah.
just feel it, right?
Yeah.
And that's normally linked to primal stuff. Like when you see cubs playing, they're literally just acting out how to kill prey, for
Exactly.
example, and or survive or jump or whatever. And I mean, like even documentaries, you got the true crime genre, serial killer
Yeah.
genre, and I think the demographic is mainly females.
Yeah.
So statistically, they're not likely to go out and do these. It's more a case of doing homework on the threats
Yeah.
that are out there, for example. So yeah, I can see in that sense. And just looking back, like some of the stuff some that really like mess me up. Are more like the psychological kind of ones because it is more closer to home than something maybe more supernatural. Like Alien is still scary as hell. It messed me up as a kid. I still haven't watched it. I refuse to go watch that film because how much it scarred me as a child. But then I see things like think of films like Seven, for example, or Shining, which is not so threatening, but it's more the unsettling nature of it and all of that kind of stuff. And even just Kubrick in general, there's a lot of stuff in his films. Like I've really wanted to visit A Clockwork Orange, but it's very unnerving, unsettling stuff. And that's kind of like you said, like if you're faced with threat or something in a very, this isn't going to end well, that's the kind of like emotions or physical reaction your body kind of does. But we could geek on about this more and more and more. Let's talk about your journey into horror. Tell me about The Hunt. How did that come about, and why can I not watch it online yet?
Okay, two good questions. So, yeah, I wanted to move into film essentially, and I did that project that I already talked about. Like, I knew that I wasn't, it's not like I was going to a studio. I never did anything, and I'm like, oh, give me hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a short film, and I'm a concept artist. That's not going to happen. So, yeah, I was like, okay, I have the tools. What everybody talks about, like, you can do films at home. That's kind of true, but that's a lie, by the way. I'll get into that later.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I want to do this. I think I'm at a good enough place where I can do this. Let's try to understand how I can really do it. It's not just an idea. So yeah, I kind of got deep into all the, the standard CG pipeline, and I looked at what other directors were doing. Like when I saw The Witness by Alberto Mielgo, I was like, it's technically it's mind blowing. But I was like, yeah, this is not quote unquote hard to do. The resources that you need are not that hard to get. So I can probably apply the same, the same logic. Like, it's just 2D paintings and we got 3D character in the foreground. That's easy enough to do. I don't need a lot of resources to do that. And at the same time, again, I learned 90% of what I know from Jama. And the way he was using 3D, I'm like, okay, I probably don't need to do things properly. It doesn't really matter. I'm not in a studio. I do not have a huge pipeline. I can cut corners and, as long as the result is good and I can work with it, uh, let's do it. So I kind of developed this. I call it guerrilla animation. People are familiar with the concept of guerrilla filmmaking. It's just taking a camera and shooting with wherever you want and don't have permits, don't have anything. I essentially did the same with animation. So if I was talking with a big VFX house and, big studio, they would be like, that's not the way to do things. And I'm like, I know. For this, it works. So I'm doing it like this. So yeah, I kind of, and what it comes about in a nutshell, I kind of do a talk about this. So it'll probably be online at some point and people can, look it up. But it really comes to good art direction, and the film was made with this concept in mind. How much can I tell with the least amount of resources? And I built the whole thing. That's why I think the fundamentals are like key. It's like,
right,
if you understand how storytelling works, you really can do a lot with little. Like, the hunt is not perfect. And one thing that happened, like my goal, well, I have to say that, was to just do something. And at the beginning, I was like, yeah, this would just be, because again, I did not have a lot of resources. This was going to be just vibes and, just kind of a mood thing, just to start. And I was going to put the thing online and all of that. But thankfully, one thing that happened is that it got attention from people in the industry. And I found and it was really alignment of stars or whatever. I feel really lucky because at that point, like, Portuguese animation was kind of in the spotlight because we just got our first Oscar nomination for a short film, and like the production company that produced that short film, they were coming out of the Oscars, and like next month they were talking with me because they found about my film, and they were like, yeah. I see you guys are doing this, and it looks cool. We want to help out. So the film that was just me and a bunch of, peers and friends kind of doing favors, be a small thing, kind of became a real thing that would play into festivals and all of that. And yeah, but essentially I kept the same the same mindset always. We need to do this in the simplest way that we can, and when people are able to see the hands, hopefully it is invisible. People are, if the film works, you do not care how it's made.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, it's like, it was very, like, everything was very, very planned to be very inexpensive, and it was still expensive. That's why I'm telling people that, like, it's one thing to do, and a lot of people that I like and respect, they do these small, short, things, but I know, a lot of concept artists do that, but it's very different to do, like, the mood piece that I want to do at the beginning, which is essentially establishing shots. So that's cool. That's nice. You are, showing your world, but that's not really a film, And when you are trying to create, again, something that tells a story and, has that effect on people that I wanted it to have, like I described earlier when we were talking film, it becomes something else, really. And when you have producers and you are like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and they are like, yeah, but this doesn't work, and they have the opinion of 6 people that have been doing it for 20 years, and you have to manage that with what you want to do, because it's still your project, and maybe they are right, so you need to be able to do that. And yeah, going back, just sorry for being scattered.
No, please. It's all good.
My main goal with the hunt was just to do something. Like, I usually pitch the film as, imagine this is something that you could see in Love, Death and Robots. That was my goal.
Right.
So from the technical point of view. So I was not very concerned with telling an amazing story. I was just
Interesting.
going after the vibes and showing, okay, a bunch of guys that work in the industry got together and did this.
Mhm.
So if you give us a little money, we don't need much. We can imagine what we can do. That's, it's my sales pitch essentially. But yeah, when those production companies got involved and the thing became official and we applied for funding and we got some funding and whatever. But I needed to deliver something, a real thing with a proper story, a real film. So yeah, it was kind of, this process was a huge learning experience. I'm still learning. Like I was lucky enough because, I got those, I got to ride that wave. Like in Portugal, I got a lot of support. The film is actually a Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, and Japanese production. So it's a really wide thing. We have artists from 18 countries, I think. The core team is in Portugal. But yeah, the other part of the question, the reason why we can't see it yet. So usually, try to explain this very quickly. When you have two ways to do a film career. And if you are in animation or VFX or whatever, you start at the studio at a small position, you grow up through the ranks, and you may be able to end up directing something. From talking with a lot of directors that did that and seeing their path, usually you end up doing something that's not what you want. It's what the studio wants, and it makes sense. And that's perfectly fine. It's a perfect viable career. But I'm not doing that. So the other way to make a film career is to go to the festival circuit and to kind of build a name for yourself and that sort of reputation, and then eventually people hire you. And there's like the way things are structured, you usually try to go for, the big name festivals, because those festivals require exclusivity. Like if you're premiering, for example, in Cannes, you cannot have shown the film anywhere. You have to show it there first, then you can show it in other places. Like there's festivals that require like a North American premiere and all of that. So you kind of need to play that game, and obviously everyone goes after those festivals because, if you premiere in Cannes, you instantly have an open door to everything else. And that circuit usually lasts about 2 years because every festival happens once a year. So you need to figure out what your strategy is and go through the whole thing. The goal is always, the ultimate goal is to probably win an Oscar. And there are festivals that have kind of tiers, like some festivals, if you get into them and if you win something there, you are kind of automatically in the list for being qualified for the Oscars. And for other awards like the BAFTAs or whatever. Some, the good festivals put you in a good spot to get there. And the reason to get there obviously is because you'll get a lot of eyes on your film. That's what you want. So yeah, I wish the hunt was publicly available. It's not yet. I guess people will need more patience because essentially we are doing a proper thing. It might be available via streaming service if someone wants to do that. There's been some interest already from services, so we'll see. We premiered the film where we wanted it. We got into 2 Oscar qualifying festivals already. I think it's doing relatively well. Like it's beyond anything that I ever imagined because I was just a dude doing a film with my friends in my bedroom, that's it. I don't know. I got a bit lost, but I hope I answered the question.
That's amazing. I mean, that's incredible, and I respect the strategy because, and maybe there's like a psychological thing there, like especially especially concept artists or people like, digital artists, for example, who want to make their own short film, we tend to like just release it and then see if it picks up traction, for example. And I do admire that. I think there's like definitely some value in doing that as well. But maybe there is this kind of like inferiority complex with that. Okay, well, we're not going to be able to, I'm just definitely putting words in people's mouths, but, I'm just making assumptions. But it's kind of like, well, I've just made this because I made it at home or whatever. It's only worthy for this. And normally, like, in a film sector or in theaters, for example, you have to kind of be in that kind of group, if that makes sense. And then you're allowed to kind of do it. The fact that you went straight there, I think that's very cool. And that's also, kind of trailblazing away in a way, like leading the way, like kind of like, you can make your stuff and do that. How have you taken, because it sounds like it's a lot, like managing a team, directing, getting it on the film circuit as well. Like you kind of just giving us an insight into the big headache that it might be, like at least just, the logistics of things, delivering it, making sure that people appreciate it in the right way, for example, if that makes sense. Which parts do you enjoy? Which parts do you not enjoy?
The leading a team part, it's I find it easy, honestly. It's I like when I was in school, I was always that guy that was in charge of the group assignment.
Yeah.
I don't know, that kind of I see it as a continuation of that. It's it's tough because the tough part is because everybody is different. Like you have to realize that like my team, it's very diversified, but I work with people that are industry veterans that work at the highest level on animation and film, games, whatever, and with people who just come out of school.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be able to work with both and see, what expectations both have, how to give feedback to, people that are at different levels. Some people, are more insecure. Some people do not handle, maybe, do not take feedback that well. So, like, I would say your job as a director, architect, or whatever, it's really to adapt to the people you are working with, like that kind of stereotypical figure of that, dictator director that this is what I want and you figure it out. Like that's fine and pretty, but it's not a good way to work. That's a good way to make a lot of enemies. So yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's your film. Your job, like I saw Quentin Tarantino saying this, and I think it's a perfect summation of what the director is. And what he says is like your job is to have a vision and to articulate that vision. At the end of the day, that's all you have to do. You don't need you don't need to paint a single stroke to make a film. Mm-hmm. You just need to know what you want and get the people that are working with you to deliver what you want, and make sure that they are happy and fulfilled, because if they are, what they will deliver is better. So it's your job is to really make a bunch of people happy, working for something that's yours. It's a bit it can get tricky because essentially you are, I'm trying to use this word but not with a negative connotation, but you are kind of manipulating people. But I don't look at it that way. I look at kind of finding interests that are aligned. Mm-hmm. So you want something, that person wants something. Let's find a middle ground and let's do something that neither of us could do alone. We can only do together. And you do that with 50 people. So it's tricky. But I like the challenge, honestly. I would I kind of joke about it, but I don't think I have many skills. But if I have one skill, is that really is trying to, find this common vision and trying to, quote unquote, convince people to help me achieve it. For a long time, people asked me, because when we started, we didn't have anything. Like I didn't have any money. They were, helping out for free. And people were asking, were you able to do this? And for a while I was like, I don't know, I'm just being, I'm just being myself and telling them what I want. And what my team members told me is that they could see that I was just not just talking, they could see that I really, I want to do something. I had an idea for it and I had a plan and I was going to do it with or without them. So they kind of, got onto that and I think find out, find some kinship with me for that. And essentially, I work mostly with my friends now. That's
Yes.
the best way to do it, I think.
Sick. Just a quick recap. Synopsis or how you would pitch The Hunt to the audience.
Okay, there's something, a synopsis of The Hunt. That's what we want. Okay, so The Hunt is about a group of soldiers. They get lost in the woods, and that's one. And you realize there's some, bad blood between them, and that escalates into a sort of confrontation, and the confrontation escalates into a conflict, and the whole thing ends up in a bloodbath. It's a very uplifting movie from my description, and I can tell you if you look at the trailer of The Hunt, you'll see there's a soldier there, and it has an uncanny resemblance to me because it's the main character is based on myself. Like, it's not a real story, obviously, but it's kind of my take on the nature of conflict. But it's set in, a fantastic animated horror scenario, so it's very exaggerated, but the core emotion is that how I deal with conflict and the nature of conflict and trauma, my experiences with it. And I hope that gets across to people when they watch it. It's nothing new, but it's my take.
Nice. How do you feel about it, the film?
I'm tired.
And before you answer that, take into account from that there's a 3-year-old watching Jurassic Park and every kind of thing up to there.
Okay.
How do you feel about now that the film is wrapped, right? Obviously, it's been shown. So how do you feel about the film?
If I look at it through that lens, I fulfilled my dreams. I'm happy. The reality is, you are never the audience of this podcast will know you are never fully satisfied with your work. And with film is that 10 times, you are never able to deliver what you really want because it's too many moving pieces and, too many things. I'm kind of tired of watching it because I've watched it literally hundreds of times, as you guys can imagine. And when I'm at festivals and it's screening, I'm sometimes fall asleep. Can't handle it anymore. But it was the best thing that I could do at the time with what I knew, what I had. I did the best that I could. I think the highlights are I was really able to create a mood there that's it's mine. It's something that people will recognize as something that's my creation, and I think visually it's still interesting. But yeah, I'm not happy about everything. On this next film, I'm trying to, because I'm already doing another one. I'm trying to improve on the things that weren't as good on The Hunt, and I'm at a good enough stage now that I have the connections, I have the team, I have everything I need, so I'm not as limited. But I'm still following that approach, doing a lot with very little. And with each film, because I have a whole plan, I did a sort of, it's a joke, a sort of a Marvel thing. My film's phase 1, and I have a whole list of things. And with each film, trying to be more ambitious in some things, but just not for the sake of it, with a purpose of learning and with the purpose of expanding the scope of my storytelling abilities. And that's the idea. So I'm happy with it, but ask me in a year.
Okay,
How I feel about it.
fair enough. Final few questions before we head off. How can people support The Hunt and what you're doing? And you've kind of answered the last question. What's next for you?
Okay. So, to support The Hunt, really, just my go-to, platform is Instagram. That's where people can follow my work and all of that. And essentially just follow me there because I'll be, uploading where the film is playing, if there's a screening close to where you are, it doesn't matter where in the world, you'll find through there and you can watch it on the theater. I really recommend watching it in a theater, particularly for sound. I think it's the best thing in the film, the sound really makes a difference. So, if you watch it, and if you like it, just share it, And, if you think I know what I'm doing and you'd like to work with me or give me money to produce my next film, let me know, because that's always a tricky part to find the funding to do this stuff. But yeah, that's it really. And the other question was,
What's next? What's
what's next? So what's next? Okay. Right now I'm involved in a lot of things. Again, I'm still working as a concept artist. I'm starting on a new project now. It's a video game project that I'm really excited about. But yeah, I'm already working on a new film. That new film is, I think, very different from The Hunt, and it derives from my experiences in the tech world. So from my background in engineering and all of that, I got to know and to work with, with tech people. I know who they are, how they think. I was one of them at one point. And the full film is a sort of critique of the people that are behind, not the internet, but the big platforms on the internet and our relationship with them. That's why the film is called Them. I've already announced it on Instagram, so follow me. I'll keep you updated from for that. I'm also involved in that. I cannot not disclose anything. Maybe when this podcast comes out, it will be publicly available. But I'm involved with another indie video game studio that's essentially following the same approach that I've followed with The Hunt, but with video games. So the idea is to have something that looks like it has huge production values, but it was made in a smart way. And it's a small team, it's all industry veterans, and I'm helping them, as a sort of character, AD, something like that. And I'm excited about that project. And and I'm also involved in a graphic novel because my producer is also he has a publishing company of comics, and they discovered that I started with that. And they're like, oh my God, I have this script, you have to do it. So that's something that will take a while. I like to keep myself busy, honestly. It's when I'm waiting for feedback on a project, I'm working on another thing, jumping around, and that keeps me creative and things go. I'm hoping the next film, depending on the funding situation, will be ready by the end of next year, if not that, early 2027.
Awesome. Diogo, this has been incredible. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
A big thanks to Diogo for jumping on and sharing his journey. Hit the links to stay up to date with The Hunt and to see what Diogo is up to. Then head to learnsquare.com and take some of the same courses Diogo did on his own journey. Remember, all of our first lessons are free. I've been your host, Aaron Danda. Till next time.